It's pretty obvious I grew up black
He black.
in a black neighborhood in Middletown, Ohio. And somehow I made it all the way into adulthood without really knowing anything about Juneteenth. Not because I hated history or because my parents failed me. I just honestly don't remember hearing anybody teaching it while I was growing up. School definitely didn't talk about it. And the church I went to, they weren't going to talk about it. The first time I really saw Juneteenth, Nikki and I went to Memphis, and we were walking around off of Beale Street, and all of a sudden we see a car show with black drivers standing around. We see a stage with a black woman reciting poetry, and black families shopping and standing around and applauding the poet. Everybody was celebrating something I honestly knew nothing about. And I vividly remember thinking, how did I grow up black in America and not know what this is? 4 titles, 1 truth. I'm Tommy.
And I'm Lance. Today's conversation is, why didn't anybody teach us about Juneteenth? Let's get into it.
All right. So how did you, a black man that grew up in East St. Louis, and yes, he's black, y'all. How did you go through school? How did you serve in the military and still barely know anything about Juneteenth?
They didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if you don't know, if they don't say anything to you, then you don't know about it. I can vaguely remember hearing one of my uncles saying something about Juneteenth, but it was kind of like in a jokingly type of way. I don't know what they were talking about, but I remember
Hearing the word.
but not knowing what it actually pertained to. Yeah, what it meant. So
yeah, just the same. I always thought Juneteenth was somebody trying to be funny.
yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know how symbolic it was. I didn't know the story behind it. And then when President Biden made it a holiday, I had known about it then. But one thing that disappointed me was the fact that just like Black History Month and just like all of the other months for the different races that we have in this country, the people that need to know about it don't really pay too much attention to it. So that's
the
my
significance of it. I mean, that's just how significant that was.
Yeah.
That these folks for 2 years.
Continued being a slave without even having an idea that they were free.
Yep. So what parts of Black history do you remember being taught growing up? And looking back now, what parts were completely missing?
So when you say taught, it just depends, right? If you're talking about school, right?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, if you're talking about school, it was Martin Luther King was good. Malcolm X was bad. The Nation of Islam was bad. And the Black Panthers were terrorists. That's what I remember, right? And that's with the presidents talking, that's with the news on, and that was the takeaway that I got that way. If you're talking about at home and in the neighborhood, still Martin Luther King, because huge, right? But the main thing I remember with him is Selma, and then I remember this Million Man March, and then I remember his speech, and then I remember his assassination. Not that I was alive then, but those were the talking points when it came to Martin Luther King.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I remember. It's the civil rights movement,
and everything was grouped in that.
I mean, and it was just that particular subject. Not some, all of the other things about the inventions,
not the depth
the
and
contributions
breadth that we deserve.
All of that that we weren't taught.
Yeah,
they weren't in encyclopedias.
So they were in some. I do remember they were there, but once again, you don't know, especially your kid, and you're trying to, you're what you're studying is what school talks about. So
You don't know specifics and
exactly
word, the right words to look up,
where to look,
especially
absolutely.
when you're looking. If you don't know what an encyclopedia is,
Yeah, they ain't that old
yeah, I
or
mean,
that
those that
young.
know what an encyclopedia is understand
Yeah.
that your encyclopedia, even though you had it and it might be new, it might be
It
from
was always
10
gonna be
years ago.
outdated.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
10, 12, 15 years or
Yeah.
whatever. So, yeah, we just, the amount of information that you can get now, and that's why I feel like our generation is a lot more educated about it now, just because we want to know
Yeah.
that information, because we didn't,
Yeah.
it wasn't available to us as readily as it is now. I mean, information is so
It's
much
so
information
much
is
out
out
there,
there
yeah.
now. I mean, that you can just like, oh my God, is that?
Especially the way the algorithms are set up on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you, especially YouTube, once you start looking into that on YouTube, I mean, it's the same way on all the social media platforms, but that algorithm kicks in and starts to find what you're interested in, and then you start learning, you know
Yep.
what I'm saying, stuff that you never knew. So, yeah, it's
When was Civil Rights Act? Was what,
60s.
1965,
I can't remember the
mid
exact year.
1960s
Yeah,
is
so,
when it really started coming up.
yeah.
What year were you born?
72.
Right. So,
Yeah.
I mean, so we were growing up while all of this stuff
Was
was, yeah,
changing,
while
yeah.
it was just changing and starting to
The
evolve.
stuff that they
So,
all push
yeah,
for.
so all of the
Yeah.
main stuff, I think, is what, which was also new to our parents, was,
Well, the
the
change was
voting.
happening.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, all of that
yeah,
stuff. So that was what was important
right.
at the time that
Right.
we got. Not, I mean,
A decade
I don't
later,
think that they
yeah,
were looking at it like, oh, we need to let them know about this and they should know about this. Where they were, I think they were trying to let us know what was going on now, what we were able to do, what was
yeah.
being opened up to us, the doors being opened up to us, so that we could, okay, latch on to that,
Learn more
keep
and
on,
keep
keep
pushing. Yeah,
growing, keep pushing, and
and then another point of it is, uh, our parents were still living with the remnants of identifying what a black person was.
oh,
Because in
absolutely.
their lifetime, it went from really nothing to now,
They were,
black people standing up as a whole. My only concern is that I hope, since there's so much information out there, I hope that the younger generations, I hope the parents, the black parents, the white parents, all parents are putting that idea in their head to learn more, not just about the country, but learn more about people's contributions to it
well,
and start to
that
understand it.
absolutely. I mean, because you want to know the full. I mean, I feel like now we're able to get the full picture
Or definitely
and
more of it.
to
Yeah,
really like put in, fill in
yeah,
blanks,
yeah,
so that you know it really looks like this is 250 years of America with black, white, Asian.
yeah.
I mean, everywhere you can actually see everybody's contribution, and it's
Absolutely.
like if we didn't have those folks,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have been able to do
No.
this. If we didn't have these people, we wouldn't, and it wasn't just
Yeah.
one one race
Yeah.
that did
Yeah.
everything,
That
came
made
up with all
everything
the
happen.
ideas.
Put in the work.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. And a
it's
lot of
not that.
people, a lot of racist people have the vision that without white men, the U.S. would not exist, and it's not, it's for some reason, they won't allow themselves to understand that everybody was in this
Oh
pot.
yeah.
Everybody.
I mean,
And even with the rules that were created just for white people at that time, there were still inventions, there were still uh, additions to the evolution
yeah.
of the United States
No,
that,
I will give them this, man. The white men had the idea, for in America, you know, and for the democracy, for the freedom and all of that stuff. But in order to build it to where it is and where we are today,
Yeah, but they only had the idea because they came from
exactly.
an established, because they came from an established
Right. I mean, in the majority, that's the
monarchy.
thing. And the
And
majority of them jokers that came over didn't have
well, in the beginning, they
anything.
were criminals, or they were
Yeah.
either criminals or they were
Well,
just
that's how Australia
banned.
was.
You
I
know what
mean,
I'm saying?
Australia was a penal
Yeah, and it was a way of
country.
getting people out so that they could make what they had better. You sound familiar?
Yeah.
All right.
Mm.
When you found out what Juneteenth actually represented, did it change how you looked at American history, or did it change how you looked at your own upbringing?
No, I mean because I can't. I mean because I won't blame my upbringing for anything because I think that uh, again they told us what they knew, what
Yeah,
was available to them,
yeah.
what you know. As far as my parents' stuff, school was they only taught what was printed in the books and what was
What they
allowed
were
at the
allowed to
time.
teach.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at that
yeah,
time. So
yeah,
no, did it change my outlook on America? Absolutely.
yeah,
And, you know, because I mean, every time that I learned something new, as far as if it was a black contribution, the Asian contribution. I mean, it's like, man,
yeah,
you know, it's like I didn't know that, you know, and
yeah,
I'm still, you know, saying that at 54. Like I didn't
yeah.
realize that that
In
was,
2026,
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, or sitting there just reading something, or you know, we sitting up, you know, talking or whatever while we having dinner or something. It's like, I didn't know that, you
yeah.
know.
And
But it's just,
Nikki and I was just talking literally 2 days ago. In 2026, they're still first for Black,
yep.
for Asian, for Hispanic. They're still first. And I'm not talking first to do something that doesn't matter. I'm talking, remember, Obama 10 years ago, you know what I'm saying? Well, actually, his actually service, but just knowing that there's still first going on. And to answer the question for me, it did not change how I was brought up. Because just like
Mm,
you, there's, it's, how foolish would it have been to blame your parents on stuff that
no.
they didn't even have access to? You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole point of slavery was to keep this group of people dumb, right? And I mean dumb from an academic
Mm-hmm.
perspective, right? Because of course we still had common sense, of course we still had ethics, you know, and standards and values, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about knowing the contributions of Black people, that was not publicized.
Black
So
people
it's
been in survival mode for so
absolutely,
long.
absolutely,
You know,
absolutely, yeah,
and that's just. I mean, we can look at it at our parents.
yeah,
Were in that survival mode where they had the separate water fountains
yeah,
and bathroom. I mean,
yeah,
the
yeah,
segregation piece of it, where
yeah,
it's like,
yeah. It was, yeah,
well, I mean, and we just missed that.
yeah,
We just
yeah.
missed that.
We
You know?
a decade, less than a decade out of it before we were born.
Yeah.
But I definitely will say you started, and I'll just say that um, it added value to me as a young Black man, finding out how much Black people actually did,
Mm-hmm.
because the way we were brought up educationally, academically, it was we thought that the only contributions we had was slavery
Slavery.
at the end, you know, on the other end of the whip. You know what I'm saying? And so figuring out that we had W.E.B. Du Bois, you know, figuring out that we had the Tuskegee Airmen,
Mm-hmm.
you know, figuring out that the Tuskegee what syphilis uh, sacrifice, murder, whatever you want to call it, you know, stuff like that is happening. That's real information
Yeah.
that can uh, not only help you feel more proud about the contributions of your race as a
Yep.
black person, and for us as young black men and black boys. But it also, you started to see the hatred that was really out there, because in Ohio, we didn't have the same feeling that was in a Mississippi or
Mm-mm.
Alabama, right? And
Yeah.
and so growing up and then seeing pictures of cities and towns celebrating a hanging of a young black man or women or girls or boys, black girls or boys, that hate is now, you start to understand it more. You start to say, "Good Lord!" And then, because when I first heard about the black and white uh, bathrooms, you just think that they just want people segregated, separate, right? And that's one of those things. It's not like it makes sense to you, but it's a word that you can
Right.
understand, right? But then when you start to find out that if a black man was walking down the street and looked a white man in the eyes, that joker could be hung for that. You know what I'm saying? Or a black woman's caught by herself or walking with her husband, unless that husband dies, or even when they died, they could take your wife and rape her and give her back
Yeah.
to you. And there's literally nothing you
Nothing
could
you can
do
do.
about it, because you could fight for her and die, fight for her and lose. But the bottom line is, if they want to rape your wife, your child, your daughter, whatever, there was nothing a black person could do about it. And so by learning all the stuff that was going on and getting real information and real knowledge, it completely changed the scope for me.
Mm-hmm.
It completely, uh, it ramped up my anger. That's the first thing. Secondly, it ranked up my disgust, for not the whole race, but for a lot of jokers. It started to let you see that there are people that still walk in those steps
Yep.
and still feel that way. And you could see it in their eyes, and you can hear it in the way they talk to you in the subtle ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then on another turn on it is that you you get that pride, and you realize how far your ancestors brought you because of the suffering. And when we're talking about suffering, it's real, you know what I'm saying, whipped.
It's the sacrifices. I
Oh my
mean, just
gosh.
to fully appreciate the sacrifices.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, I asked my father when I was younger,
Hmm.
and I remember this. I always remember this. Uh, I said, how did you all do that? I mean, the separate
Bathrooms,
bathrooms and
water
water fountains. I
fountains,
said, how did y'all do that? Not being able to eat up in the front
at the
at the
bar,
bar,
yeah. Having to
and
get your meds
yeah,
from your
just
prescriptions from the back door, not being able to go in hotels in the front door, even if you're the star attraction, the performer for
yeah,
that night.
and he told me, he said that's how things were
Yeah,
at that time, and that's how we had to live.
yeah,
And it's just, I mean, and that just was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean?
yeah,
Y'all didn't all raise up? And
yeah.
it's like, no,
It's funny. It goes back to I hate the saying is, you don't know what you don't
you
know.
don't.
And when I say that this time, I'm specifically talking about not understanding knowledge, but actions. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't look a white man in the eyes back then, because not because you've done it and you felt the punishment for it that they had, but because your father warned you, your uncles warned you, your friends, because they've seen their friends get
Something
beat
happened to
down. Yeah,
him. I mean,
absolutely.
it's same. Well, similar to how we tell our
About
kids
the police.
about the police and
Yeah.
driving,
Yeah.
and when they're going through small towns
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah.
It's like, look, pay attention. Be
Yeah.
aware, pay attention.
This
So,
ain't the time, yeah.
mm,
But the way it changed my upbringing is that it made me sad that the world doesn't know this.
right.
It made me sad, and I'm not just talking about the black people. I'm talking about the world doesn't know these facts. So while we're learning, because now we have all this information, there's an opportunity for everybody to learn.
Well, that's
But there's still people that
we're
fight
damn
that.
stereotyped
Yeah.
around the world. You
Yeah.
know, and it's like
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
know.
You probably
You
never
never
even
walked in
met.
my
Yeah.
shoes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 But you think you know me.
yeah. So do you think Juneteenth becoming a national holiday actually increased understanding, or did it mostly increase visibility?
Visibility.
Yep.
Because now everybody knows that word, but I still talk to people of other races, and they'll say, yeah, and then y'all got the what's the name? It's not Black History Month. I've had that conversation with somebody, and I'm sitting there looking at them like, this is a national
Yeah, we
holiday.
didn't get it. It's not
Yeah,
just for black people. So
but then it starts you to dig a little deeper, and it's like not the other races just because, like for instance, in the Army, as you know, they celebrated these months for all of these races, all of the races. I'm sorry. It was celebrated, and you had the opportunity to go somewhere during a certain month and sit down and
get a
hear the
presentation.
history.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And learn
And
something.
learn
Yep.
something. Yes.
And
And
learn contributions and things like
absolutely.
that.
And
So
food and people, famous people, and all that stuff. You had that opportunity. And so in the military, it sort of forced you to learn, right? But if they take that out of the military, which I'm not 100% sure they have, but there's been a lot of conversation about it. But I know that just by having a Black History Month does not mean that everybody is focused on learning about the Black history. When they have a Hispanic History Month, I know not everybody is focused and learning because I don't think the government does enough to sort of force people's hand. Like when we were growing up, they used to have all these cartoons and commercials and segments about uh, laws, about bills, about all that stuff.
the School of Rock.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But they, for some reason, they fell short of doing that with highlighting these contributions until either people got in a position to where they were sick of it, white people got in position where they were sick of it and tried to spread it, or those races got in those positions and started to put it out more. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, if you have a black governor or if you have a black president, or mayor, the hope is from whatever race that person is that's non-white, is that hopefully they're bringing our culture with them
Right.
and bringing notice, and more of that. So no, there's. I would probably say that if there was math that you could do with it, the percentages that now know more true details about Juneteenth or Black History Month, I don't think it's improved greatly. There are people that want to know. Like I said, there are good people everywhere, and there's horrible people everywhere in every race. And so I believe there are, I call them allies. I know that there are allies of all races that are trying to be better people, you know what I'm saying? Trying to learn more, trying to put themselves in a better headspace when it comes to race in this country. But yeah, it's just more. It's on a calendar
Well,
now.
and that's what I mean. That's what I was gonna say. I think that the information is out there now,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah,
Whereas before it wasn't out there.
True.
You might hear the name,
true.
but the information is out there for
Yeah.
you. And that's the
And boy, are they fighting to put it back in the box.
yeah. I mean, well, everything they're fighting to put back everything that shows that it wasn't it wasn't just uh, white men that built this country up
Yeah.
and did everything, made all of these contributions. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to have anything. We wouldn't be able to run we wouldn't be able to have what we have now.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it's like, dudes, come on. I mean, it's all of us here
Yeah.
have contributed to
Yeah.
the success of
Well, let me
this
ask you this
country.
question. Your opinion right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is America so willing to honor and continue to admire Civil War on the South Side people way more than they're willing to have a conversation about W.E.B. Du Bois, and why we can't have a statue of Harriet Tubman standing tall? I'm not talking about locally made. I'm talking about the federal government putting up a statue that is
It's
truly represents who.
because that narrative has been told one way for so many years that it's been ingrained in those people that lived there, that was pride. He was standing up for our state. He was standing up for uh, what makes Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, whatever
Yeah.
make that what makes us what we are. I mean, they were standing that they the narrative was so strong and has been so strong and been the same, hasn't changed. That I mean, if you hear it and it's taught to you, then you're gonna start drinking the Kool-Aid.
You would rather acknowledge and admire a traitor.
But it hasn't been. It hasn't. If the government would come out and say that I mean, because we know
Yeah.
that was a treasonous act. What they would. I mean, they were.
Should have been shot.
Yes. I mean,
Yes.
that was
Yes.
dead. They were
Yeah.
all dead wrong
They
for that.
broke up the country,
Yes.
the United States.
But it was again where we start talking about slavery was the business.
Yeah.
So we were the North was trying to take away how the South made its money.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you
So-
this, and I'm gonna stand on this. The fact that there are military installations and statues and carvings in mountains for people who were clearly against the United States of America, and they are still up or they are being put back up, is to me one of the most racist things I've ever heard of. And it's one of the most, I'm going to make up a word, un-United States thing or idea you could possibly have.
Stately.
If you're going to sit there and call yourself a patriot, you're going to call yourself a patriot, and the first thing out of your mouth is Robert E. Lee, or fighting to keep these lies, right, and these wrongs that were to the so many lives
It's
were
like
lost.
it's like call it and tell it what it was. I mean, because they're telling you to forget who the people
Absolutely.
were. But during this period of what they chose to who they chose, how they chose, who they chose to follow, what they chose to fight for, you had to tell what that shit truly meant.
Yeah, but don't honor them, man. I'm telling you, I'm of the ilk of, if you have a military base where you expect every United States citizen, no matter what their race is, to volunteer and serve, then every base, every ship, every plant, everything that they've named after those traitors and after known racist people should not exist. It should go away. There should not be a Fort Bragg. There should not be a Fort Lee. I don't care if you find another name. That should go. That is
away.
my opinion. And that is horrible. Every day I served, when I became aware, and I became aware because I was going to these Soldier of the Month boards, when I became aware that the people that these bases were named after, that I was stationed on, and the atrocities that they did, not only to my people, but to the country, I felt like the military, I felt like the country didn't give two
Well, man,
shakes
if you
about
think
me.
about it now, it's like they would name a base after Saddam Hussein or Adolf Hitler.
That,
I mean, we don't have
what's
none
the
of that.
difference?
It's not. I mean, and that's the thing, and that's what has never been stressed about. The Confederate was a combative opponent against the United States of America government. The United States that we're about to celebrate 250 years.
Well, let's come closer to home. They wouldn't call a base Malcolm X.
No,
And he was born here.
nope.
And he didn't kill nobody.
Yeah.
They wouldn't call it the Black Panther. They wouldn't name any of Angela Davis. They wouldn't name any of the black so-called labeled terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
But they call Fort Lee after an in-house terrorist. Come on, man. You gotta be kidding me. All right. Now that I've calmed back down, why do you think certain parts of Black history feel optional to teach in America? We sort of touched on it, but but the other part we need to add is, why do you think it's optional Black history, right? But why other parts of American history feel like they're mandatory?
Because they want to sell a narrative.
Yes,
That's what it is, and that's why some parts are okay to teach, some parts aren't. But the problem now is the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, that is you can fill in
But it's
all
also,
of the blanks, and
it's also we just hyped it up. You know what I'm saying? It's that good old give and take, man.
yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot more information out now, and I think it's really going to be up to the, generations after us, the kids after us,
to go seek it,
to seek
go
it,
find
and
it. Yeah.
I mean, and I think what we can do while we're still upright and a sound mind,
especially in this
is try to
platform,
get the news,
keep
spread,
talking about
keep talking about what we
keep
know, and have
keep
hopefully
the conversation
kids go out.
going.
That's right, keep it going. And have the kids look up some more stuff and teach us some more things too. Inform us, make us smarter about.
So let me ask you a question that's going to make you think.
Mm-hmm.
If you could fix it, if you could make a call today, and what is a way that you would bring the truth out to people?
To the masses?
Yeah. Or to get it to the masses. I'd put it in school.
Yeah, I mean that's the only way that you can.
And not as an option.
Yeah, I mean it would have to be well, I can tell you that and that's where I was fortunate enough. So if you got you're a young person out there, or you're a parent who you want your kids to know a little more about
Black
their history, Black
and
history, send them to a HBCU, because I can tell you at my HBCU that was a mandatory class. I went to Howard University in Washington D.C. So that was a mandatory class.
Yeah, you weren't getting through that college without.
No, you had to take that. You had to take that course. I mean, it was many more that you could take. I mean, that was actually a major if you wanted to.
You could make it. Yeah,
but it was a lot more. You had to take. I mean, that's something that you had to take that would open up your mind. And we had the library there that had all of the books and manuscripts, and I mean all of those things there that were available to us, so that we could actually go and look and read and say, "Oh man!" Because I did not get that. I can tell you that I did not get any of that in high school when I was growing up. That wasn't taught. Yeah. It was the standard
across the board.
Yeah.
So my answer to that question is, I would, and it's going to cost money, right? But I would start all the way back in elementary. I'm talking kindergarten. And you don't have to go into the depths and details at the early age, but you absolutely can introduce it. You know what I'm saying? And not just introduce it, but you can introduce the fact that Christopher Columbus did not discover. You could put in the books without. I'm talking about. I know that some schools have this stuff in there, but what I'm saying is, and not have a president and his crew push back against it. Right? I'm talking about. I already said Christopher Columbus. I'm talking about the Pilgrims. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about how Westward Ho, did not mean every race. It meant one race. I'm talking about the founding and the building of the United States. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with saying that slaves built the White House and trying to find out the details of that for someone who's never been introduced to
Just
it.
want an accurate depiction of
100%.
what was going on. I mean, that's just be
Or just
truthful.
show everybody's contribution.
Yeah.
Even if you're not, like I said, I'm talking kindergarten. I'm just saying, put in there that everybody contributed,
Right.
and everybody knows that that's the truth.
Right.
It don't matter who was either lashing or receiving the lashes. The truth is,
Truth is the truth.
everybody contributed to this country, not just one race. And putting that in schools is not going to stop our knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, and it's nothing wrong with showing that we did something bad for these years, but at this moment here is where we changed it, and this is how we're getting better, which that's not what we're doing.
And that's the only way it's going to happen is by showing it's us instead of we, you know what I'm saying, or them. We got to stop doing that, because why do I think certain parts of Black history feel optional to teach in America is because it's absolutely controlled. You know what I'm saying? And I'll just go back to my early childhood. When I was growing up as a kid, my memory of the Black Panthers and Malcolm X were that they were terrorists, that they were bad, that they were evil. My parents contradicted that by telling me that the Black Panther, they were a community thing. The national efforts of the Black Panthers was not as large as it was made to be. It was more neighborhood driven, right? And then city driven and stuff like that. And Malcolm X never talked about killing white people, or never talked about let's get 30 people together and go shoot up a Catholic church. None of that was ever said. You know what I'm saying? It was strictly with Malcolm X a disagreement on the process. That's what it was. And then Martin Luther King was sitting there and he saw what anybody who has a clear mind sees, right? If you're able to step back and put your faith in something, you can see, when you get all that madness out of your head, that America is better when everybody's contributing.
Right.
And that's where Martin Luther King came in. Malcolm X was like, if you don't want us here, then give us our land, which we've earned, and give us our own area.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That was what. And you go even further to trying to get Africa, all well, first of all, uncolonized, right? And then getting Africa to start to stand, and then maybe we could all reconnect. Those are the big picture things, but it was never destroy and do something to white people.
No.
The only thing Malcolm X stood 10 toes down on was self-defense.
Yep.
If them jokers gonna come at you with a knife, you have a knife. They're gonna come at you with a gun, you have a gun.
And pride in your race. I mean, and it's nothing
and that's
wrong
what
with,
all of them taught.
Yeah, I mean, and I still feel like it's like that today. Whereas if you feel prideful, or you want to you try to push things to uplift folks in your race, folks that look like you, then you're, oh man, you're radical, or you don't care about, you must be racist. And it's like, that's not it.
But here's another thing that I don't understand, right? There are other races in this country, right, besides black people. And each race, to include white people, they're drawn to themselves, right? The only difference that I see is that when black people want to stick together, when black people want to grow and make the world better and safer for their descendants, it's with a pure heart, caring about making your child's and your grandchildren's life easier, right? And it's that way for every race. But when white people start talking about their pride and their stuff, it always seems to be linked to hate. You know what I'm saying?
Feel like somebody's gonna take something from them.
But it's just so angry
No,
all
I
the
know,
time.
that's what I'm saying.
And
Because it's like that's not.
you know what I'm saying? I don't have a problem with white people hanging out, but I have a problem
But
have a problem with white people hanging out when they're talking about killing black people, or when
Or
they're trying to
anybody,
figure out, or when they're trying to figure out how to continue to crap on black people, or when they're trying to keep education from black people, or when they are killing DEI because they think it's giving other races a leg up, instead of understanding, like we've talked about 1,000 times, DEI is not meant to single out anyone. It's meant to broaden the pool and get better. That's the whole point.
Get you more ideas from
not-
different perspectives,
yeah.
from different
Not
folks, and
black
just,
people are not always going to be the best lawyers. They're not always going to be the best doctor. They're not always going to be the best president or whatever. But sometimes we will be. Sometimes other races will be. We still ain't had an other race president. You know what I'm saying? Outside of black.
yeah.
You know, so I mean,
It's just, I mean, and it's funny, but I feel like the attitude and the way that I feel like we've been pushed into that mindset is like, I got to be better. I got to be better. So
absolutely.
it's like, it's part of that, you know,
Problem.
yeah. Why,
Yeah.
we have some folks that excel at, just because it's like that's just been put in our head
Absolutely.
that I have to be better
Or
than
give
this
up.
person because otherwise I won't be able to.
Yeah, or give up.
Yeah.
And that's why you have some black men and women that 10-toe stand in it and try their best to be perfect. And guess what? That's mental trauma. That's
It's exhausting.
exhausting,
It's
right?
exhausting.
But then you also have black men and women that just look up and say, what's the use? You know what I'm saying? Why should I go do this when I can go do this, stay in my neighborhood, make this money, whatever, So it's you're right. The way the United States has been, it's forced us, and I mean us as Americans, to adapt. And sometimes those options to adapt to or into are not good options.
No.
Or not the best option, I
No.
guess. So, yeah, I'm with you, man.
Huh.
But I would say mandatory history should be history that includes everybody that's in it, that tells the truth. And like I said, if you want to get, it's just like anything else. If I want to know a little bit, then a little bit can be given to you. If I want to know more, then I can get more, right? But it shouldn't all be this race did everything.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not eliminating
This one race, yeah.
anybody from the history books,
Absolutely.
but it's telling the truth
Absolutely.
about, and
Yeah.
then and you might be adding some names that
Yeah.
you've been deleting for years, but it's like, just tell the truth about it.
Just think about Native Americans right now. And I'm just talking about my knowledge and memory of Native Americans growing up. They were either the bad people who scalped people, right?
The villains.
Or the villains, or the people that would that were causing trouble and not allowing the United States to grow. And then they turned into, the Native Americans turned in, we gave them this land, so they
Now they're all
have
just
these.
alcoholics, and
But
they're
I
not
had
doing
no
anything.
idea, you know what I'm saying? So when I'm a kid and I'm thinking that Native Americans were given land, it makes you, it's a good feeling, you know what I'm saying? It's like, well, at least the government had a little bit of a heart. And then you find out that on they're struggling over there, just like any ghetto. You know what I'm saying?
They gave you land, but they
And,
gave you the crappiest land.
and they force you to pick sides. You know what I'm saying? Because for you to become the hierarchy on that land, you have to, and we say it, sell out to get selected, because they're not going to pick the realest one. You know what I'm saying? So you've got the hierarchy with one foot in the white world and the one foot on the where they are, and you're just like, that ain't working. And then the casino thing happens, and now you hear everybody getting mad because the casinos are making all this money tax free, and now the government's trying to see how they can get in on that or
Yeah.
take it back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I'm just pointing that out because it ain't just the black people that this country continues to crap on and hold down, but still some people from these races find themselves
Right.
in that
Yeah, we ain't
Confederate
done, we
side of
just
things.
talk about the black race because
Yeah,
that's what we.
yeah. And another comment that surprised me that just came to my head was, every race that is in the United States, I think there's a feeling that everything's okay unless black people are no longer last, and whatever group is now last has a problem. So if black people climb the ladder, every other race in the United States has a problem, because now they feel like they have a problem because now they're seen as the worst. So every other race can look and say, if we're talking military, can look to the left and always feel confident that the black people are going to be
Don't
less
do
than them.
that.
And that rocked me when I thought about that. It's like, it's just crazy. But
What stands out after this conversation is realizing how much of life you can live before you discover parts of your own history. That's hard to sit with sometimes because Tommy and I aren't young men.
facts.
We went through school, served our country, raised families, and still realizing how much of Black history we either never learned or barely understood. But conversations like this matter because once you know better, you have a responsibility not to let the silence continue. And maybe the real value of Juneteenth isn't just the holiday itself. Maybe it's the conversations it forces people to really have. So until next time, y'all, let's keep the conversation going.